Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Daz.
I'm Office Bloke Mike.
Here we are, the two of us.
Yes, we are.
A bit of mob boss footage here.
I do find really interesting stuff to do with the mob and, sort of high-level crime and stuff. You know, it's amazing who's got things in which pies and, how they're all connected. And
this is true life sort of thing. But I mean, when you watch mob films, they're very well put together. They're always well researched for the most part.
A lot of the time they're based on true events, aren't they?
Yeah.
You think you could,
And it's my style of film to watch. They're the sort of films I've been on program, even like The Sopranos.
Yeah, because they've always got an element of truth, haven't they?
Yeah.
So you think that actually probably could and did happen. So really interesting.
Anyway, this is a sit down with Michael Franzese.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Donald Trump's connection to the mob.
Surely not.
I'm sure they're all connected somewhere or another. Whenever these major money and racketeering and all
kinds
kinds
of
of
shit going
shit
on.
going on.
Muck, as they used to say in the, in the Northwest.
Exactly. Well, this brass is what? Anyway, let's get into it. Donald Trump's connection to the mob. Sit down with Michael Franzese.
Or was it where there's muck, there's brass?
Something like that.
The $6 million question that I've been trying to avoid, but I can't avoid anymore, was Donald Trump tied up with the mob? Listen in. Hey everyone, welcome to another sit down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. And before we get into today's subject, I just want to mention a couple of things, a little bit of house cleaning. My book, Blood Covenant, we've been out of production on that since Christmas. Thanks to all of you. The book was out of stock from my publisher. My understanding is that it'll be back in stock next week. So any of you that want to buy the products, the merchandise, you know that you get it signed from me. I have a couple of books out there. There's a link below that you can get to our store and do that. So I just wanted to make that announcement. So again, hope everybody is doing well. And today I'm going to deal with a subject that quite honestly I've been trying to avoid. I didn't want to get into this. I told you that the political side of things is something I try to stay away from. People say you shouldn't, Michael. You have a platform. Your views are meaningful, but everything is so volatile right now. I mean, people are just so uptight. And, the election, post-election atmosphere, the post-election feelings and emotions, they haven't subsided as of yet. But I have to deal with something, and it's a name, it's probably the most volatile name in the country, and it has been for a long time, and obviously that's the name of Donald Trump. And, the people that are for Donald Trump are very emotional. The people that are against Donald Trump, very emotional. And he's not the president anymore, so we don't have to deal with that. That's out. So it's not a question that he has influence in that regard anymore. He's not sitting in the Oval Office.
Whilst he might not be sitting in the Oval Office, do you think he still has influence? I think he does.
Oh, I think he would
he's
do.
A very influential
Somebody
character.
that's been that powerful, even a former US president, they're still going to have power. They're going to have a huge influence across the world.
He's always been like a character or a presence, let's say, across the globe on a high level for all his life. Everyone knew Donald Trump when I knew Donald Trump when I was younger.
Yeah.
He Trump casinos and and
Trump
Towers, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Everything was Donald Trump, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, hugely. But I mean, someone like that, when he's an ex-president, but there's still another term that he could serve. People will know that, and people will remember. They'll know what he's about, and so they'll want to keep him with him as well. So that's where the influence carries on. I think that people will still want to sort of like keep in with him. So
he's saying there, it's very emotional, and it's across the world. I'm looking at elections going on across the world in South Africa. The ANC are out. I'm looking at Modi in India. He looks like he's just got back in, but with a reduced majority. Then you've got what's going on over here with Labour and Conservative now with Nigel Farage getting involved and maybe sort of like swaying some kind of a votes his way. I don't know how many he'll do, but it's one of them. The world's a very emotional place at the moment. It's very up in arms at the moment.
Absolutely,
it's touch and go with what's going on in different parts of the world as well. With with wars going on and stuff. it's a very
very volatile and very sort of like hugely political and everything. It's just everywhere at the moment, isn't it? Like I say, it's not like a moment of calm at the moment.
No.
Anyway,
and everyone kind of looks up to the USA.
Yeah,
and they know whether it's going to be Trump or whether it's going to be Biden.
Of course, it's like,
like
some things are probably on hold, aren't they? Because it's going to be huge, isn't it? You know, later in the year at the election. So,
and then it looks like we're going to change our prime minister. Looks very likely,
highly likely. I would
Although
suggest in a few weeks.
After last night's debate, I think Sunak going to put him to sleep a little bit.
I thought he did. Yeah,
thought he knocked him out a little bit.
Yeah.
So punched him around.
I think the next one's going to be pivotal. I think
big time.
Yeah, it's going to have to come back at Sunak in the next one, without a doubt.
But anyway, let's get back into this.
Yeah.
But I get asked all the time, Michael, what do you know about Donald Trump's connections to the mob? You were a New Yorker. You were heavily involved during his time. He's a bit older than me, but yes, that was my time when Donald was building quite heavily in the New York area. So I'm going to comment about that today, and I'm going to tell you what I know to be a fact, and I'm going to try to explain some things to you. Now, I want to be clear on this. I'm not going to talk about Donald Trump's, business dealings, and people have accused him of shady dealings and, doing all of that. I'm not going to comment on that because, quite honestly, I don't really know about that. I don't know what he did in his business dealings. I have some experience, with some things that he was involved in. I'm going to talk about that as it relates to the mob, my former life, the Colombo family, other families. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to tell you what I know, and hopefully I'm going to explain some things to you and clarify what actually being involved with the mob means and dealing with the mob. It's two separate things, and I'm going to explain that. So, Donald Trump, obviously a big developer in Manhattan, Trump Towers and other buildings that he's put together. We know that. He was also in Atlantic City. He had the Trump Tower there, the casino, which was a lot of problems for him. But let me tell you my personal involvement with Trump, and it came actually in two ways. Roy Cohn, I don't know if you know who that is, very famous attorney. He was the counsel for Senator McCarthy during the McCarthy hearings when they were going after all the communists in this country. And Roy Cohn made a name for himself during that time. And he became known as somewhat of a fixer attorney, very high profile, had his connections, obviously, with McCarthy and other people in Congress. So people used him allegedly to be a fixer. Let me tell you my personal experience with Roy Cohn. Now, he did represent mob figures. He was counsel at times to Fat Tony Salerno, boss of the Genovese family. I mentioned his names many times. Many of you know who he is. Paul Castellano, he did some work with him at times. I don't know if he actually represented them in any legal proceeding, but he did things for them. Let's put it that way. So I get a call one time from Roy Cohn, and this was just right after I was indicted by Rudy Giuliani on a big racketeering case in the Southern District of New York, Manhattan. And Roy calls me up. I had met him once or twice before at different gatherings, hello, goodbye, that kind of a thing. And I had met him once at a private club in Manhattan with Donald Trump, because he did represent Donald Trump in a number of things. Exactly what, I don't know. But in Donald's business, Roy Cohn did represent him. Now, the fact that Roy Cohn represented Donald Trump and Fat Tony Salerno and Paul Castellano, that doesn't immediately make the connection that Donald Trump is associated with the mob. He was associated with the attorneys. Attorneys represent different people. So anyway, I'll get back to that. But Roy calls me up, Michael, I want to see you. I understand you got a problem. Okay. I go meet him in his office in New York. And he says to me, Mike, look, my associations with Fat Tony and, blah, blah, blah. And he mentioned names. I said, yes, Roy, I do. He said, you got a problem in the Southern District. I said, yes, I do. He said, you've been indicted on a major racketeering case. The underlying act is extortion. It's shylocking. And you're the principal in the case. I had 15 co-defendants. It was me and one other guy. We were the principals in the case. And I said, I know all of that, Roy. He says, well, I can help you out. I can get it fixed. I said, really? He said, yes. I said, how are you going to do that? He said, I can get the indictment squashed. I said, okay. Now I already know. Let me tell you something. The fact that
There's just so much power involved in certain things, isn't there?
Yeah.
I can listen to this all day,
Yeah.
for days on end, stories like this, right? When you get someone who's a real deal telling a good story, this guy knows how to tell a story. You know, he's clear, he's crystal. He knows people. He's throwing names in there.
Yeah, he's been there, done it, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's not beating around the bush or anything.
Yeah.
He's going straight down the line of what the story is.
Yeah.
But it's like, it just goes to show how people can be so influential and get things done that are so wrong, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you look at something. Sometimes you think they've got to be guilty. They've got to be guilty. But then you get some of these.
You get off with
actually,
it. We found this loophole. I know someone.
But they just know how to do it, don't they? Absolutely incredible.
And it's like, as the old phrase goes, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. Just one quick point upon that. The other mobster, that Fat Tony. You think if he was like a proper mobster, he'd say to everyone, "Lose the fat." Just Tony to you.
I mean,
he obviously likes
Fat
it,
Tony, ain't you? Like it, yeah. I know Fat. We both know Fat Man, right? And that's what we call him, right? He calls me because that's Fat Man.
You just think someone that influence, you think, I don't like that. Stop it. But clearly, he didn't mind.
Lawyer represents the mob doesn't always mean that he's going to be the fine, upstanding, honorable, perfect guy, okay? I already know where this is going. He says, I can fix the case. I can get the indictment dropped. I said, okay, speak to me. What do you need, Roy? I can't remember the figure. It was either $250,000 or $500,000. I don't remember. So, it's a little cloudy on that. He said, you put X amount of dollars, you give me 250 or $500,000, whatever it was at the time, and I'll get the indictment dropped. I said, okay. Now, people, let me tell you something. I have never heard of a federal indictment being dropped once somebody was indicted. Can the charges go away? Can you beat the case? Of course. But the indictment just being dropped, I've never heard of that. Not in a mob case. I'm not saying it's never happened. I don't know. I haven't done the research. But I can tell you in a mob case, never happened. A high-profile case like mine, where I'm the lead defendant, big publicity case, not going to happen. I said, Roy, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I said, if I had to go to trial on this case with all these defendants, the year that I'm going to have to spend, in investigations, working with an attorney, defending myself, the amount of time I'm going to have to spend on trial, between what I'm going to spend to defend myself, what I'm going to lose by being caught in a courtroom all the time, it's going to cost me $1.5 million, $2 million. He said, that's right, Michael. I want to save you all of that. I said, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do. So it's worth it for me to pay more than what you want. I'm going to put $1 million in an escrow account. $1 million. That's a lot more than you asked for, at least double. You get the indictment dropped, keep it all. It's worth the money for me. His response was exactly what I knew it would be. Well, Michael, I got to take care of some people, and it's not going to happen. I said, but you just told me definitely you can get it done. You're not, you're not a poor guy. Spend the money, take care of who you got to take care of. You got $1 million in escrow. What are you worried about? It's a guaranteed deal, isn't it, Roy? Bottom line is he wouldn't accept that because there was no way he was going to get the indictment dropped. He would have told me this and that and that. But don't worry, Mike, I'll put it towards your representation. I'm going to take care of you. We'll beat the case, the whole thing. Look, I wasn't a new kid on the block. I've been through this for time and time and time again. And I even discussed this at one point with my associates. And they said, Mike, you're too smart for that. Forget about it. Anyway, that's my association with Roy Cohn. So now, getting back to the Donald Trump thing. Yes, okay, he did represent Donald Trump. And yes, he did represent certain mob figures. But I'm going to challenge you all to do this. There's been a lot of theories out there because of Roy Cohn. Donald Trump is involved with the mob. I can tell you this. Did Donald Trump have to deal with the mob? Yes, he did. Just like...
You're going to have to as a property owner
and
a developer in New York City.
Yeah, but the mob isn't just people sitting behind a desk with a machine gun and stuff like that.
No, it's not.
They're actually entire proper business, aren't they?
Yeah.
So they're integrated right into society. So you do have to deal with people like that.
But like you're saying there, I think this is what he's sort of like alluding to, that the business that he was in with property development. But I think if you pick out any successful businessman, we found it over here as well with our politicians. I mean, I'm not too well up on the US politics side of it, sort of like who's connected and who's not.
Yeah.
But when you've got high-end businessmen who are spending multi-millions and billions on different businesses, there's always going to be some form of corruption involved somewhere along the line.
There's always going to be a crossover onto the darker side.
We talk about it. We talk about it all the time in sport. There must be some kind of corruption in sports where there's that much money involved. There must be something somewhere, whether it be betting companies and people involved in gambling or whatever it may be. There's that much money involved. There's got to be something somewhere along the line.
They're not all squeaky clean.
No,
we
no.
know that, don't we?
Yeah, and you look at our politicians as well over here and who they're involved with, and you see sometimes their involvement with certain companies, and then you look at further who's involved in them companies, and look who their companies that they bought into and who's the head of their companies, and all of a sudden the chain always sort of like finds its way back to certain people.
There's been certain things over COVID about supplying certain things to the NHS and who was involved in the companies. Obviously, we won't go into that, but so. We know there's always going to be a crossover.
It's the same form of the same form of what these are doing.
Yeah, of course.
You definitely know someone like Donald Trump, who's so influential in the biggest city in the world, in New York, that he's going to be a crossover.
Yeah,
he's going to be paths crossed without a doubt. Yeah, just let me go back.
Even if not directly, sometimes they'll keep them at arm's length. They'll know someone that knows someone that sort of deals with them. So you're not there directly, but they know further down the line who's involved.
And sometimes you need somebody to sort of like, number one for protection and number two for enhancement to help you move along, so that you get things done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and certain mob figures. But I'm going to challenge you all to do this. There's been a lot of theories out there because of Roy Cohn. Donald Trump is involved with the mob. I can tell you this. Did Donald Trump have to deal with the mob? Yes, he did. Just like Leona Helmsley had to deal with the mob. Just like every major contractor in New York had to deal with the mob because we control the unions. You do not get a major contracting job done in New York during that time without dealing with the unions. And if you dealt with the unions, you dealt with us because we controlled them. The whole mob commission case was about the union, the cement club, the contractors. It was all about the union involvement with all of these major developers. Who was getting paid off, who was being extorted. That's what the case was about. Donald Trump's name did not come up in that commission case as somebody involved in any way, okay? So here's the deal. Did Donald Trump use Roy Cohn to maybe get some favorable treatment, so that he can get his buildings built? Yes, he did. And so did many others. You had to. So Donald maybe used his connections, with Roy Cohn or anybody else, so he can get his jobs done and we wouldn't bleed him to death like we might have done with some other people? Yes. Does that make him an associate of the mob? No. Was he doing us favors? Was he, part of sitting in the social clubs with us? No. I'm telling you he wasn't. I've never seen it. I've never heard it. If there's government surveillance reports that say something different, I challenge you, bring it forward. Let's see it. Let's hear it. You don't think they would have went after him? You don't think as president all of this would have come out? They were trying in every which way to dirty him up. You don't think it would have came out, hey, we got tape recordings with Donald Trump sitting down with Fat Tony or Joe or John Gotti or whoever you want to mention. I didn't see it. You don't think it would have happened? During the Mueller investigation, I'll tell you more of my involvement with Donald Trump. I was in the gasoline business. I had Russian partners. One particular guy, his name was David. I'll leave it at that. One of my Russian friends. Okay? He and I.
David.
How many Russians you know called David?
I was just thinking.
Come on, Michael.
Made up name. Yeah.
Bought some condos at Trump Towers. We paid cash, millions of dollars for them. My associate in the gas business, David, he had an associate in Russia. I think it was a family member that was part of the KGB. As a result of that, and we bought these condos back in the early 80s. As a result of that, I got questioned, I'm not going to tell you by who, during the Mueller investigation, because it came out that my friend David was the front guy buying them at that time. And they came to me and they tried to establish a mob connection with Russia, a Trump connection with Russia, as a result of him buying those him selling those condos to me and David Bogatin. That was his name. I just said it, David Bogatin. And I said to them, you people are really reaching. Well, Trump, I understand he took the cash. I said, wait a second. We didn't hand him the cash. We went through the process there at the time. Well, why did he take cash? Well, why not? We gave him cash. I don't know I don't know what he did with it after that. Did he claim it on his tax? I don't know what he did with it.
Don't care.
Cash is good money, isn't it? Isn't it? It's printed by the United States government. It's good money. What's wrong with it? So yeah, we paid in cash at the time. They tried to establish a mob connection.
I know they're trying. I want to touch on something here as well for people who are watching to see what their feedback is.
Yeah,
you're kind of frowned upon now if you pay cash over here.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's becoming a thing of the past. I mean, we know there's some places that don't accept cash at
No,
all.
no.
It's all contactless these days.
You go to you go to sporting arenas like the stadium or the Co-op Live or the concert arenas and things like. It's all card. You can't spend cash. You can't spend cash.
Right.
And that's nothing to do with they want a cashless society. That's to do with all the people who steal the money that goes in there as cash.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's like one for me, one for you. Sort of thing in the way, in the way they do things.
There's nothing you can do
about it.
about
There's nothing you can do about
unless
it.
there's something somebody really clever that can bypass it, which one day they probably will.
Well, they'll have their own
reader,
their own machines,
their own card something
readers.
like that. But
but it's is it the same sort of like around the world wherever you're watching from? Is it the same for a society where it's frowned upon to pay cash? I mean, I've got a few places I go where I know I get priority for pay cash.
Yeah,
so like I get rushed not rushed to the front, but I get I know I'm definitely served quicker.
Yeah,
because they know I'm paying cash.
Yeah, I mean, some places still like cash, and obviously certain trades and stuff like cash, don't they?
But you kind of know which ones are which.
Yeah, of course.
I'm all for paying for cash if someone wants it.
Yeah, I don't mind. I always carry a bit of cash as well. I always do, just in case. Yeah. But and it came in handy the other week actually because all the payment machines were down when I went to Sainsbury's. Believe it or not,
you were in straight.
I was all right.
Cash.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I had some cash on me. Everyone, load of people outside at the cash machine, but obviously it ran out of cash as well. So literally, they were screwed. But I had cash in my pocket. Yeah. So
you were like him then. You're like the mob boss giving out cash.
Yeah, yeah.
So twice. Pay me back tomorrow, twice the amount.
yeah. I made a fortune from it.
During the Mueller investigation, as a result of that, or a Russian connection, because my partner was Russian and allegedly had ties to the KGB. It had nothing to do with us buying that apartments at that point in time. It was condos, okay? So I am here to tell you this. I have seen no evidence. I heard nothing on the street. I've never had any conversations with anybody that said to me, Donald Trump is with us. We got him in our pocket. He's working with us. Don't worry about it. I'll get you a special deal through Donald in Atlantic City or here or anything else. I've never heard that. Now, if somebody has evidence to the contrary, well, then bring it forward, okay? Now, am I trying to clean Donald up? No, I'm answering a question that I get asked all the time. Michael, was Donald Trump really involved with the mob? So again, the fact that he might have used his connection to get favorable treatment so he can get his buildings done like just about any other contractor would do does not make him, mob connected. It just doesn't. That's different than being involved with the mob, where you're part of the crew, so to speak. So I hope to straighten that out. Listen, again, this is not pro-Donald, against Donald. I just wanted to straighten it out because I get asked this so many times. If you have a question, if you have something that you want to refute, let me know. Let's talk about it. So that's it. I want to tell you a couple of things. We got some exciting things coming up. I've been in touch with the Mike Tyson camp, and as soon as we get Slices open in Newport Beach, one of my restaurants, we're hopefully going to be opening it up in the next 2 weeks. Tyson is ready to come in to do an interview. I've been holding off on the Zoom thing. I didn't want to do that with him. I have another great interview with a drug dealer's son. If I mention his name, you'll know who he is. That's coming up in the next week and a half. I'm not going to say anything right now, but keep watching for it. Been in touch with Joe Pistone, Donnie Brasco. He's going to be up pretty soon. So we got a lot of good things coming up. Mm-hmm. And my podcast, stay tuned. I am going to tell my father's story like it's not been told before. So we got that coming up. I want to thank you. We're closing in on 400,000 subscribers, and that's thanks to all of you. We've calmed down a little bit. I used to be posting 3 a week. Now we're only doing 2 because I got so much going on. But thank you for your loyalty. Please subscribe. When we hit 500,000, a very special giveaway, I promise. First prize, you're going to love it. You're going to be on a plane, I'll tell you that much, if you're not afraid to fly right now. Yeah. But we're going to do something very special. We got a lot of gifts that we're going to give away. So, stay tuned for that. The Sammy Gravano sit down. Is it going to happen? Stay tuned. That's all I can tell you. Stay tuned. It's a complicated thing, but stay tuned. That's all I can tell you. What else? MichaelFrancis.com, our community. We have 12,000 people in the community. I had a big Zoom call, with so many of them in our inner circle. They're loving it, people. Encouragement, information, content. People are just, I can't tell you, I wish I had some of the testimonials, and I'm enjoying it so much because we put a community together of people that are getting so much out of it. And I really mean that. We don't do this just to do it. We're getting so much out of it. A lot of good stuff coming up. I'll give you some updates on Mafia Democracy. stay tuned, man. I'm telling you, you're going to love that book. We're almost done with it. We're going to be releasing it in May or June. Stay tuned. Watch out for it. I guarantee it's going to be eye-opening. You're going to see our government from a mob perspective. You're going to see what it's really looking like and how we're going to get it under control. And, of course, the TV series coming along, man. You know, I'm very excited. The pilot is looking great. The information is going to be a brilliant series. I waited 20 years to do this the right way. I've been so blessed and fortunate to have the right team around me now that's going to do a A1 class act job on this. So that's it for today. Thank you, as always, for your tuning in. We really appreciate it. And how do I always leave you? Be safe, be healthy, God bless, and I will see you next time.
I like that guy. I like people with straight.
I like your style there, straight talking.
Yeah.
Tells it really, really well. Explains it well.
That's an older video, is it? 'Cause I think he's way past the volume. He's on 1.27 million subscribers now.
Oh, wow.
It's 3 years ago, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought it was an older one, but it's
doing well.
Yeah, Max put that one up. Called that good shout.
Really
Max.
good. Yeah, brilliant. Some of those other ones he was mentioning there, by the way, I've got to watch those as well.
Yeah. It's
the interaction with someone like Mike Tyson would be really, really interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
See what Tyson takes him.
Yeah, he's kind of right the way he says things though. With with the way he's saying, like, we all do the same on a lower level.
Yeah,
in what he's talking about with Trump there, you always do something like, if you want to go to a restaurant and you know the owner or you know someone who can get you in a booking, when it's full, you phone them up and say, "Can you get me in?"
Yeah,
and there's always a couple of tables available that they keep for the friends and family, and then you're in.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's happened. I mean, I know I've got into one of the top restaurants in Manchester without, some guy said he owned it and I didn't believe him.
Yeah, and
I phoned up on the night and it was full, so I thought I'm going to phone him and see if he's in. I phoned him up and said it's full, I can't get in. I said, if you own it, you get me in. What time do you want to go? So I said 8 o'clock, prime time and all that. Anyway, I had the top table in there at 8 o'clock. Yeah, they proved me wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice way to be proved wrong anyway.
Yeah, it was one of them. It was a restaurant that I thought one of the footballers owned.
Yeah, right, okay.
But the footballer was just a partner in it. He was the owner.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So it's we all do it. We all cash in on favours of people who can be influential to get things done.
It's what you know, who you know, like you say. Sometimes somebody that you know knows somebody else.
This is just on a higher, This is just on a higher level of multi-million pound sort of contracts getting done.
Yeah, this is just the top level, isn't it? This is like the top business, isn't
elite,
it?
Yeah, the elite getting shit done. I mean, you're not going to build a skyscraper in Manhattan for 250 quid.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And obviously with the mob being, sort of having a hold on all the unions and stuff like that, then to a certain extent, like he says, you've got to sort of deal with them to a certain extent, haven't you?
So what makes the world turn? That's what caused the financial collapse over here. Is the corruption bill that they brought in?
Yeah,
anti-corruption.
Yeah,
as soon as they brought that in, financial collapse.
Yeah,
because you weren't allowed to you weren't allowed to corrupt people anymore.
On a slight side note, you just wonder sometimes whether, like, without the mob and certain other people, whether society would be sort of, I don't know if you should say it, but even worse in a way, whether they sort of control violence and people doing stuff that they shouldn't do, whether it be like a bit of a free for all. And it's still like a bit of a structure, isn't it?
It is a structure, but you'd always have that structure. I think if it wasn't for the Sicilian type mob, you'd have
there'd always be somebody
Russian
in there,
or you'd have the South American.
No, but you would have a mob.
You would have people in there
tend to sort of like control.
Yeah.
At certain levels of society, don't they? And more saying, without them, would it be even worse? Is it a case of better the devil you know sometimes?
Yeah, could be. I mean, we're seeing a lot of changes here in our area with the with gangs that are sort of like popping up, whether it be Albanian or whether it be Middle Eastern or things like that popping up. It's and what control and what hold they have over the police and stuff. It's bizarre.
Yeah,
so I'm reading about it every day, but
that's really good. Really interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Yeah, we'll probably do more from him as well.
Definitely.
So I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Don't forget, like and subscribe, please, and we'll see you in the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers.